Greetings, Cleveland, and welcome to Creative Focus, the show that illuminates some of Cleveland's most talented and creative artists across the genres of dance, film, music, theater, and visual arts. I'm your host, Cornell Calhoun III, and I'm thrilled to have as my guest today on Creative Focus, one of the most respected artists in Northeast Ohio, producer, director, actor, and currently the director of community programs at the Center for Arts Inspired Learning. Yeah. My friend, Mr. Jimmie Woody. Oh. Jimmie, welcome to Creative Focus, man. Let's chop it up.
Oh, thank you, Cal, for having me, man.
Hey, my pleasure.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, I want to go back a minute, that 18 years ago,
wow,
we were preparing for Dream on Monkey Mountain by Derek Wolcott, directed by Terrence Spivey, Caramel House. Mm-hmm. What do you remember about that production, other than the fact, and I got to say this, it was the production of the year, if you remember.
Yeah, I do remember it. What I remember most, it'll be funny, is being bare-chested on stage, along with my fellow actor, Anthony Talley.
Okay, yeah,
and,
that's right, yeah.
And our endless moments during the dream sequence, having side conversations on the stage while everything was going on.
Yeah, we better not talk too loud. Spivey might try to get Talk about your day job, which is the director of community programming at the Center of Arts for Inspired Learning. Yeah. Talk about the organization and what you do there.
Okay. Well, first I'll backtrack just a little bit. I was working for 6 years at the Cleveland High School for Digital Arts, which is right up the street, doing film, teaching film. And Shafia Dooley asked me to come back to Cal, and she's like, I want you to be director of community programs. And what that entails is I'm over 2 programs. One program is inspiration through music. Let's say that when you were like in 3rd grade all the way up to a senior, you really wanted to play drums, or you really wanted to learn piano. Well, in 2 of the rec centers, Cadell and Thurgood Marshall and Studio 105, we actually teach kids how the basic foundations of music.
Wow.
And if they complete both sessions, they actually get the instrument that they're training on. So,
wow.
And I think that's just an amazing program.
It is.
Because it also helps a lot of the kids to, when they're in their school programs, they now have a violin. They now have a keyboard. They now have a drum set. They don't have to rent stuff out. It's theirs. So I think that's a real unique program. And we're doing a culminating event on May 18th at Trinity Cathedral, which should be spectacular because the kids are awesome and the teaching artists are also awesome. Now, the other program, that's one that I was brought into back in like 2008 when Artworks was at Shaker Square.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it used to be out there, outdoor in Shaker Square,
right.
Kids engagement. But pretty much Artworks is a teen apprentice program. It's usually a lot of teenagers' first jobs. It gives them job training. We do college readiness. So let's say that I am the master teaching artist of acting. So I would eventually get 10 apprentices that would be learning acting from me for 6 weeks. The unique thing is they get paid. We work on their resume. We get them thinking about college. We get them thinking about what they want to do afterwards. And I think the unique thing with Artworks is we have an Artworks market. So a lot of times, just like these wonderful paintings that you have right here.
By Mia Jones.
Oh, by Mia Jones, yes.
Mia Jones, yes.
So let's say Mia Jones had 10 apprentices that did this same thing. Really what's slick about it is at the end on the culminating event, they actually market a lot of their artwork. So it's not just about teaching kids about art, but it's also empowering them, so that they can run their own business. Because in this day and age, a lot of things are shifting now. And, having something and being an entrepreneur and kind of paving your own way is real unique. And yes.
So how do you get the kids? How do you recruit the kids? Or do they just come on their own?
No. What's really nice about this is that we have an application process.
Okay.
We reach out to different guidance counselors all throughout Northeast Ohio. I can say which is really unique about Artworks is that we really have pulled from Northeast Ohio. We've gotten students as far as like Kent to attend, students from Akron to attend, And what is really interesting is watching how all these apprentices mix and mingle. So you got kids from the city of Cleveland, you know, all throughout the city of Cleveland, but you also got kids from the suburbs that are engaging with each other. And what I like is it creates bridges that sometimes certain kids think, like, I'm from the city, you're from the burbs, you don't get me. And then eventually they wind up connecting and they're like, oh my God, you like the same music, you have the same interest as I do. So I like the intersections that also Artworks creates. And unique thing is we're gonna do a culminating event at MoCA on May 4th from 6:30 to 9.
So what about a parent who just found out information? I mean, how can they get their child involved in your programs?
Well, they can go to the Cal website. If they go to the Center for Arts Inspired Learning's website, and you just type in Artworks, it'll pop up a whole page, and it provides you an application. It tells you when. Right now, we're even taking applications for summer, and those won't stop until like June 6th.
Okay.
So
now talk about your multimedia company. I know that's your baby.
Oh, that's my baby. The Labyrinth. I'll say it like this. When I was in New York City and I was at Columbia University for grad school, a friend of mine, she used to take me to these parties, and it was called Thought Forms Underground. And the slick thing is, it was down in Soho, and it was in like a basement.
Okay.
And think like a basement of like a warehouse. And in one area there was like paintings. In another area there was food. Another area there was like a little makeshift stage. And each month they would do these engagements, and you would just meet the who's who. I met the Roots, I met Erykah Badu, I met Common, all these people before they really even blew up. And this set was just so casual and nice that I liked it. And when I moved back to Cleveland, I was like, I want to do something like that, but I want to do something even more, like add some more difference to it. So in my father's building, there was 18 different rooms. So I was like, I'm going to do my version of it. In each different room, I'd put a different art form in each room. Gotcha. And then allow patrons and people and artists and actors and all this stuff to come and engage, and which was really nice. Think about it like it's almost like a fun house for the arts. So each room has its own theme. So you walk in one room, there might be butcher paper all over the walls, and you can draw, you can paint, you can tag on the walls. So it's very interactive. You go in another room, there's spoken word poetry going on. So you got some of the hottest poets like Eris. She was like 17, 18, like performing at this Labyrinth. So for a lot of artists, what I really like too is it provided a platform for them to have their first engagements as an artist. Like, oh, Wood, I really want to do this poem. Come on, you know, on this Saturday, please come and engage. And which was really nice when I was doing it out of my father's building. I used to be like, I didn't put a cap on when people had to leave. So we would stay there till like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I would get to the point where I'd be like, hey, people, I got to go to bed. Y'all can stay here and finish whatever you got to do, but just lock the door when you leave. I would literally wake up in the morning at 9 o'clock in the morning, and there would just still be pockets of people still talking and conversing. So you would have somebody that was like a filmmaker that's like, wow, I met this dancer, and she does choreography, and I need choreography for my music video. Oh, I met this visual artist. I need a book cover. I'm a writer. And so it's really just a beautiful thing to see people engage and network and build inroads with each other. And then also for me, it helps to build Cleveland and makes Cleveland like a community of artists. At times we live in our silos, and I just want to see people engage.
So talk about the title. How did you come up with the title?
Oh, well, like I said, in my father's building, in which unfortunately it got torn down like a few years ago, it had 18 different rooms. And what I really loved about it is you walk through it and people would say like a maze. Oh, and if you know the difference between a maze and a labyrinth, right. A maze is meant to trick you. It's meant to give you places to go and you like, oh, I'm lost. Right. But a labyrinth, it follows a certain network until you find the center. So you're never lost. And so within this, you are never lost. It's like you're finding your own center as an artist, as an engager. So you don't have to be an artist when you attend the Labyrinth. I've had like mothers and fathers, like, I just really love this, and I've now painted my son's room or my living room with these colors in mind. So just trying to inspire people.
So are you going to still do this?
Yeah. I did it this last summer. Very nice thing is now I've done a form of it where it's almost like a pop-up, and I've done it in different venues. Like we, this past summer in September, we were at Deidre McPherson's driveway, and that was a really nice, because that was like an outdoor-indoor engagement.
Okay.
We used her living room and had, Antoine Washington and Sequoia Bostitt's artwork up in the living room, so people could engage in that way. I've done it at the Brown Hoist, that's right over there on St. Clair. I've just thought about it more differently rather than just it being sedentary. And then also in July, we did Rooms to Let. And so that was really nice because that really got it back going again. And everybody that attended says, like, this feels like the Labyrinth, because it's about a vibe. Okay. It's about people connecting, and it's not about being pretentious. It's just about, hey, oh my God, I met Cal. I've already seen Cal on Instagram or Facebook, and here it is. I'm meeting him in person, and now you're engaging with that person.
Right.
So,
how did you become a performer? What triggered that?
You really want to hear this?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Well, here I got to go back a little bit.
All right.
I always got to go back a little bit to get us
I noticed
there.
that about you.
Yeah, no, well, it's like to say that, well, I just started off acting, just always acting.
Yeah.
For me, I was an athlete. Growing up out in Orange and all that stuff, I got recruited, and I never forget, I got recruited by, of all people, John Harbaugh of the Baltimore Ravens, head coach. He was a position coach at Pitt. He recruited me. And so he offered me a full football scholarship when I was a junior. I was getting recruited by everybody. But
what position did you play?
I played wide receiver and I played strong safety.
Okay.
But my senior year, I broke this arm and I tore cartilage in this knee. So I was damaged goods. So I wound up going actually to Kent State University on a full football scholarship. Started off slow, but eventually by my senior year, I broke 2 of the school's records, got recruited by the NFL, all that wonderful stuff. But I also tore this knee, and I also separated this collarbone. And I started thinking, like, I love football, and I always want to go to be in the pros, but I also want to do something creative. And out of nowhere, 2 girls came to me at Kent State. There's a Black Renaissance pageant. And they were just like, hey, we want to sign you up for this Renaissance pageant. And I was like, why would you sign me up? I'm a football player. Like, this is a beauty pageant thing. But they signed me up anyway. And at the last minute, they said, you got to have a talent. And I was like, what am I going to do? Throw a football on the stage? And they were like, no, figure something out. And I took a song by Rochelle Farrell called Peace on Earth. And I made it into a dramatic monologue. And for this Renaissance pageant, I walk out on stage and I deliver this song as a monologue, not singing. And when I walked off stage, everybody was quiet. And I didn't understand what was going on. And this young lady grabbed me and I was like, I really did bad. They're not even clapping. She was like, she had tears in her eyes. She goes, Snow, sweetie, look into your audience. And they're out in the audience, and even my football buddies was there. People were crying, wiping tears from them. I was like, I did that? And she's like, you did that. And from there, I got what is called bit by the bug. So I'm gonna get us caught up. So I'm at Kent State. I'm graduating with a degree in advertising, but I know now I wanna be an actor. So I stay on for 3 months, and I take post-undergraduate courses in acting. From there, a teacher, Maria Bednarik, was like, you should go to grad school for this. She's like, I'm gonna help you fill out applications. We filled out applications to Juilliard, to NYU, to Kent, everybody. Kent was recruiting me. I got into, I was like the first alternate for NYU, but I actually got into Columbia. And I only had 3 months of acting experience, and I'm going to grad school at Columbia University for acting. And from there, I have a lot of stories with that. But that kind of got me going. And they really broke me down as an actor, as a person. I was raw. And so I enjoyed doing that. Then they also gave me opportunities to direct. Columbia is really unique because we also had the School of the Arts, and we just engaged. And we were right there in New York City. So it gave me a lot of opportunities to perform.
Talk about your performance in Sweat at the Cleveland Playhouse. That's phenomenal, Jim.
Wow, yeah, that was a great opportunity, and I really thank Laura Kepley for it.
Yeah. I had her on the show before she left.
Oh wow, yeah, she's such a great person, and she was great because she did something for Cleveland that Cleveland at times didn't maybe respect. Is that for a long time, a lot of Clevelanders didn't really get that many opportunities to be on stage. And this unique experience, it was three of us that were Clevelanders that were in that production. But specifically about my character, Brucey, which is fun as an actor. I had 3 scenes. I had 3 scenes to show the de-evolution of a character. So you see this guy that was, he was standing firm, he was striking, and he's charismatic and he's strong. Second scene, it's been like over several months that he's been towing this line, and now things are getting a little hard on him. So he's succumbing to drugs and alcohol. And by the third scene, he's fully out. And what I loved is I was working opposite a young man named Brooks, and he was my son, and I had to really had this really heartbreaking scene with him. And I loved, as an actor, you want to do different things. And for me, it was just showing that art.
Because you have a master's in acting from Columbia, is that correct?
Yeah, Master of Fine Arts degree.
Fine Arts degree?
Yeah, in acting, yeah. Really hard work. They really put me to the test at Columbia. I probably was a little bit better off than other people because I only had 3 months experience, but those that had several years experience, they had to really, in grad school, they really break you down. They break you down to build you up. And so because I was raw, I just was like, I'll run through a brick wall. They're like, you're willing to do anything one time. And then if you don't like it, you'll make your choice then.
What do you think separates Jimmie Woody from other performers, would you say?
Well, I'm me.
You certainly are.
I try to be myself. I try to not be what people think me to be. I had to understand this when I was young. Like when I was in middle school, it's like trying to curry favor to people. You eventually have to find out who you are. And I think I'm creative. I think I'm passionate. You can tell I'm expressive. But I really care about what I do. But I also want it to be unique. I don't want to do something just to do it. And I don't want to regurgitate something that somebody else has done. Even in when I was saying the Labyrinth, I gleaned that from a party in New York City. I didn't want to do the exact same thing. I always want to do something a little different. And I think that's what makes me unique at times, is that I want to do stuff, but I don't want to do it exactly how everybody else has done it. I want to bring some creativity to it and community.
Question.
Yes.
Fabulous actor, fabulous performer.
Why, thank you.
How do you think acting transitioned you into directing? And how did it make you a better director, do you believe? Because I have my own theory, but I want to hear yours. Oh,
man, I can't wait to hear yours. For me as an actor, we've been in this, right? Mm-hmm. And we've had some experiences with certain directors, correct? Mm-hmm. And not saying anybody particular, but I've been through some really hairy experiences, and I'm like, I wouldn't go about it this way. I wouldn't do it like that. I'm an actor. I wouldn't ask somebody to do something that I wouldn't do myself. And so I always put myself into what I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to look at it from an actor's perspective when I'm directing. And I started that at Columbia. Columbia was unique where, even though we were actors, we had opportunities to direct. We had this class. It was a actor, playwright, director, theater management, dramaturge workshop. And so each week, writers had to write a play a week. The actors would have to act it. Directors would direct it. And after 12 weeks, the roles started to switch. So I started taking opportunities to direct. And my teacher, Ann Bogart, was like, have you ever really considered directing? You actually have an acumen for it. And I was like, you think so? And she's like, yeah. And so I just always kept that in mind. I always wanted to direct.
How would you describe your directing style, Jimmie?
I'd say that my directing style is rather diverse, just because, like, you know, from grad school, we trained in like Shakespeare and Greeks and Pinter and Strindberg and Beckett and all this kind of abstract stuff that I can do that as well. But I just like to stay open, and I think I'm kind of real diverse with my skill set, and I can drop in anywhere, be it Shakespeare, be it August Wilson, whom I love, be it Susan Laurie Parks, be it Cornell over here. If he gives me a play, I'm going to put my twist on it. I wouldn't say I got a real ironed out particular style, but I think when people see my work, they know it's going to be clean. It's going to be professional.
What do you consider most when casting an actor or an actress? I mean, what's the pinnacle for you in terms of who you're going to cast for a part?
Talent. Talent is a big one for me. I'm kind of a maverick in a sense that even like when I did To Kill a Mockingbird, and just like with Brownsville song, young lady comes in, Ella Steck, 9 years old. Now, you know, in To Kill a Mockingbird, Scout is 9 years old. This 9-year-old girl comes in with overalls and the Chuck Taylors and the plaid shirt, and she just kills it. But the theater, people are like, can you really cast a 9-year-old? And I tell you, it was the best decision I ever made, because it's not risk. I just want to find somebody that's talented, and I'm willing to take a risk myself on people. Even there's a young man in Jimmie's production. This is his second play. And when he came in audition, I asked him, like, could you look at this character? And when he came in on the callback, he had the whole scene memorized off book. I was like, wow, I want to cast him. And I like to do stuff like that. I like to find people that are talented and see how they're going to mix and mingle. But the talent is the key part of casting.
Let's take a look at another one of Jimmie Woody's directorial events. Let's take a look at The Christmas House, featuring Logan Dior Williams.
When we found the vacant house buried in the back of the neighborhood that August, it felt oddly familiar, like we'd been there before, like it belonged to us, like it was waiting for us the way a lost toy waits to be found. We named it The Christmas House because of all the decorations the owners left behind. The fake Christmas tree standing crooked in the living room, the broken ornaments scattered around the floor, the dusty wreath on the door, the red and white striped ribbons still hanging from the driveway lights that had turned tan and gray. Did you know they used to tell ghost stories on Christmas Eve?
No, why would they do that?
Because it's the longest night of the year. They figured that's when ghosts will wander the earth. A for sale sign had been posted in the yard and stood crooked and faded between the weeds. We wondered what happened that final Christmas, why the owners had left so much behind. The sofa in the living room, the cracked flat screen TV, the beds upstairs, the dishes in the kitchen cupboards, the clothes, the books. They all must have died suddenly. Or were kidnapped by aliens. Or maybe they unleashed the curse by rummaging around in the attic. Whatever happened to them, they left one of the back windows unlocked. The door to the old coat chute was heavy to lift. but it was unlocked too. It was like they wanted us to come inside. It started as a game. Tommy and I dared each other to sneak in and touch the Christmas tree we seen through the window. Tommy went in first and made sure the house was empty before opening the back door for me. The inside of the house didn't disappoint. Graffiti covered some of the walls. Teenagers had left melted candles and cigarette butts upstairs along with a few empty beer cans. At least we hoped they were teenagers and not homeless men with dirty hands and violent tendencies. I figured the ghost scared them off. The power had been cut off along with the heat and water, but that just added to the charm. We tiptoed around the creaking floorboards and stared at the pictures still hanging on the wall. A portrait of an old lady watched over the den. A scary man hung over the fireplace in the dining room. Black and white photos of children guarded the second floor hallway. Wedding pictures and family portraits spun stories in the foyers. I studied them closely, guessing their names, hoping to hear them whisper by candlelight. I imagined old Hilda in the den had died upstairs in her sleep. Scary Cornelius over the fireplace had clearly lost his life at sea. The married couple I called Ron and Angie bought the house 10 years earlier, not knowing it would be their undoing, not knowing it would become a tomb, frozen in time forever.
Let's talk about your project that you are directing now. That's phenomenal. We actually did, I don't know if you knew this, but we did Jimmie in 2013. Michael Oatman directed it. I played Becker,
right.
and Daryl played
Fillmore.
Yeah. Talk about the upcoming production of August Wilson's Jimmie at the Beck Center for the Arts, directed by Jimmy Woody.
Why, thank you. Yeah, it runs now through to May 5th. But Jimmie, it's actually August Wilson's first play that he actually wrote. And it's unique because he submitted it to a festival like Eugene O'Neill Festival,
yeah.
And they were like, we just need something stronger. So he actually wrote Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and from there, his career took off. And only till later on in his career, after 6 plays, did he actually come back and actually add it to Jimmie. And I saw Jimmie at the Manhattan Theater Club with Marion McClinton, one of his prized actors from Minneapolis, became a director. I saw this production, I was blown away. Keith Randolph Smith, who is a native Clevelander, played the seminal role of Booster, and I was just like blown away by it. But Jimmie, it takes place in the Hill District. I wanted to be in 1977, and a Jimmie station is like, are there cabs for neighborhoods that can't get the yellow cabs, that they provide that service. And it's really unique because you got the lives of these Jimmie drivers and what they're going through, their struggles, their hopes, the things that are challenging to them. And it's a story of redemption. It's a story of resilience and within an African-American neighborhood.
How do you feel about, to have an opportunity to direct an August Wilson film, man, that's an honor. How do you feel about that? Is this the first August Wilson film?
No. I've directed, my first one was Joe Turner's Come and Gone.
Okay.
Then my second one was Two Trains Running. And then unfortunately.
Oh, wow, I didn't realize you had directed some. Okay.
Yeah, my third one was Jim of the Ocean. We were just about to go up when the pandemic happened.
Was this at Tri-C?
This was at Tri-C.
Okay.
So, and then I did a reading, a lifted stage reading of Jimmie at Tri-C back in like 2016, 17.
Wow.
And it had a bunch of great Cleveland actors in it. And then when Beck Center asked me, like, what do you want to direct? I just really wanted to see a full fleshed out production of Jitney.
So how do you direct an August Wilson piece, understanding his voice and still being able to put your own creativity into that production?
Wow. Yeah. August is like Shakespeare, you know, in the sense, and I don't like terms when people say, oh, he's Black Shakespeare. No, he's August Wilson. But the way he writes with the cadence and the speech patterns of African Americans. And it's finding that rhythm, and it's finding that cadence. And it's like August Wilson loved jazz. And that's even like how I've even put this production together is all these different characters are like different jazz musicians. And I'm just putting them together for a jam session. But you're trying to find that nuance, that musicality that August Wilson inherently puts in his writing. And so finding that and not trying to add lines to what this man has written, but finding out how to put muscles and ligaments in what he's already written and not adding lines, but embellishing and finding moments within the play that can flesh out. Like, for instance, I do a dream play with a character named Fielding. It's not written. It just, all it says in the script is lights go to black and then lights come up, it's a half an hour later. And I was like, well, why don't we just kind of do something that's interesting? And myself and Royce Ruffin worked out this dream ballet that we've put together. And so that's where you add some nuance to August Wilson's work, but don't dare try to change the man's words, because when he was living, he would show up and tell you, cut that nonsense. That ain't me and that ain't my writing. So I try to honor the man's spirit.
Is there another August Wilson piece that you would enjoy directing? One that you haven't?
Wow. Well, you know what's kind of been itching me of late is 7 Guitars.
Oh, I want to do 7 Guitars.
I would like to do that one. Quite frankly, I would love to do all August Wilsons. In my perfect world, I would love to do it starting with Joe Turner and just work on up.
Right.
But I'm good. I'm happy to do whatever August Wilson is out there, but 7 Guitars.
I want to do something. I've done Joe Turner, Jim of the Ocean, Jitney, King Hedley II. So I need to do, I had opportunity to do Fences, and I turned it down. Shouldn't have did that. But,
what, you turned down Troy?
Yeah, because I didn't want to drive all the way out to Aurora. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I didn't want to do that. But
Okay,
you know.
but I saw your Jim of the Ocean.
Yeah.
Saw you in, what's the character?
Caesar, man.
Caesar, yeah. And you were
Caesar,
a guy
man. Let me tell you
that
something
people did
real
not
quick.
like you.
Hey, let me tell you something. At the end of the play, you know how we all come out and people will just, they wouldn't even shake my hand, man.
Oh, yeah.
They just walked past me. And for a minute, it bothered me. But then I said, nah, man, I must have laid it out. This one lady came through the line and she looked at my gun and she said, she was about 80. She said, I ought to take that gun and shoot you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so, yeah. Right. But let's talk about Jitney just in terms of when, where, and let people know when they can come out and see your work. I know it's fabulous.
Okay. Yeah.
One more time?
Yeah, when it's at the Beck Center out in Lakewood, and it runs all the way through to May 5th. And you can go to the box office and get your tickets, but tickets are going fast. We've sold out the last 2 Fridays and Sundays. So please, if you want to come and see this really special production, in which I really love because it's intimate and it's in the studio theater, and it feels like you are a part of the play. And that's kind of my unique twist on directing it.
Yeah, that's what you do.
That's what I do. And I really want audiences to feel these characters. And for the most part, a lot of people have come up to me and just said, like, wow, this is wonderful. And it's like, I feel like I'm a part of this Jitney station.
Right.
And I feel like I'm invested with all these people's different lives. Even some of the antagonists, you love to hate these people.
Right.
And so it's just trying to really give people a really an enriching experience when it comes to like what they're gonna see, and that they feel like, oh my God, I'm like that, or I know somebody like that, or wow, I need to go home and think about some of the things that this play has imparted, because August Wilson is a griot. You know, 200 years from now, when they try to study and find out what was the African American experience, you'll go to August Wilson and it's like a history lesson. Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about the man's work, is that you got to dig deep and find out all these different nuances of African American culture. Yeah.
So that's the magic of August Wilson and the magic of Jimmie Woody.
Oh, thank you, man.
Thank you for being on the show, man. It's been a blast. We'll have to do it again.
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you, Cal, for having me, man. Yeah, we got to tell some of these other stories, too, man.
So that's it, Cleveland. We're out. But remember, a true artist is not only inspired, but inspires others. I'm Cornell Calhoun III for TV20 and Creative Focus. Until the next time becomes our time. Be well, be safe.